Okay, so we're doing things a bit differently today. It is 10 to 11. And we got up early and we, yeah, clearly she's not ready for it. Um, but everybody's been behaving. Last night was kind of stressful. We had a nice storm come through here that has flooded the front yard. I don't know, yeah, our little swamp up there. Yeah, and the neighbors are having work done, so the window is closed more than I would like for it to be. The other window's open, but I figured I should probably block some of it out since I'm over here by the window. Um, yes. And it's been a whole freaking ordeal today. So, got up early because we took Gracie to school. So it's one of the very few times we will be doing that. I think she goes next week, and it'll probably be the following week that she's done. They leave on the 18th, but I think her school is going to have her be done on the 14th because they have some of that testing they're doing that week, so they figured it'd be easier to just not have her worry about any of it, right? So that's the game plan there, I guess. So we took her today. We'll probably do it one more time next week. Tomorrow night she's coming over for a sleepover. And this afternoon we are picking her up from school. So, yeah. And, oh boy. It's been a bit of a clusterfuck of a day. So we left around 8 to go pick her up from her house. And it was a little before 8. But when we got outside, yeah. There's probably going to be a bunch of that. Because there's like 3 trucks in front of the house. And they're like out this way, but the neighbor's house is over there. There's one of their trucks down that way too. They were right across the driveway, but then they had to move one. The dogs have been really cool with it today. Probably because I drugged them last night because of the storm. So they're really mellow. Peppy's the only one that didn't get drugged, but she got the little glucosamine stuff that's got like hemp or whatever in it that's supposed to be calming, so figured she's a lot smaller, so that was probably enough for her. Mine all got trazodone and the hemp treats, so yeah. Okay, so as we were leaving this morning, my mom discovered that the brand new door that's not even paid off, right? It's the storm door for the front, and I've talked about that before. That door was like fantastic, but it had like this rolling screen at the top, the old one, and at one point in time my dad put his elbow through it and busted something on it, and they weren't able to fix it, so they finally got the new door. New door was not paid off. Nobody thought to put the door in the garage because the car's not been in the garage. So why wouldn't it be in there? My dad got pissed when he took the new door out. The old door is already off and was leaning against the side of the house. Well, the front corner of the house. And so the front door doesn't have a screen, or it doesn't have a storm door, screen door, whatever, at all, which is really aggravating because anytime we open it for anything, the dogs are like right there. So if we're like picking up a package, then they can like stick their heads out, which they do that anyway. But at least if we had a door there, we were able to make sure that nobody is coming before that happens, because they can be assholes otherwise. So yeah. So anyway, he took the old door off, got pissed at the new door when he unboxed it because he discovered that he was going to have to do extra work to, put the handle on, or like cut out a spot in the door for the handle, so it would line up with the hole that we already have, right, on the door frame. And basically threw a tantrum, but then also said his leg was hurting real bad. The door's been out there for at least a week and a half. We've been without the storm door on the front of the house for that long. But he's like made no effort to get back to it. And honestly, I think we have a better chance if we just like hire somebody to do it, because he just don't want to. Because it's going to involve extra work from what he even originally thought. So now he's extra pissed at it, and might have to dope Peppy. Because she's just gonna bark every little bit because something happened. She doesn't see real good either, so I don't know if she just heard somebody. See, I don't think it's that she heard somebody talking necessarily, because I don't think her ears are real great either. I think she's just, because it's still making noises. Anyway, we were fine while she was gone. She went with my parents to go to the UPS store and run to Aldi's real quick. She stayed in the car with my dad while my mom went in. So, back to the door. This damn door. Since it didn't get pulled in, and we just stayed right there, and there's also a microwave that stopped working several months ago and didn't make it any further, even though, one point my dad had it at the end of the driveway wanting the trash guys to take it, and they didn't take it, obviously. Yeah, I don't know if they would have if it was on the trash can or in the top of the trash can, or if they would have just like booted it out and said nope. But it's back up by the corner of the house. So we had the old storm door, the new storm door, and a broken microwave up there by where the trash cans normally are. The storm last night had like 80-mile-an-hour winds, and we had like the tornado sirens going off like 2 or 3 times last night, and it was all sorts of exciting on that end. So this morning we got to leave to get Gracie, and of course the doors fell over on the broken microwave, completely shattered one of the glass panels in both the new door and the old door. But of course, since the new door is not even paid off, of course we're extra pissy about that one. The old door, whatever, but still, it's a hot mess to have to clean up, right? So we get back from dropping Gracie off, and luckily we had to come back to the house because the return process for Amazon is not what it used to be, and my mom was having issues and had to get on her computer to get that situated again. And while she was doing that, she told my dad to go clean up the glass, because he's the reason they were right there, and didn't get put up, didn't get put on the house for that matter, and all this stuff. So he goes out there. He wasn't even out there 15 minutes, y'all. And he claimed that he got most of it. He did not. Nowhere close. So my mom goes out there, and of course they're getting ready to leave, and they were rushing this morning because my grandma has an 11 o'clock appointment. So they had to they had to go to the UPS store, then they had to go to Aldi's to get some groceries because Gracie's going to be around and my mom wanted to be able to make some of her favorite things while she's here. And yeah. So they come back with some groceries. Okay, but before they left, I think I was in the bathroom and my mom called me and said, "Where are you at?" It's like, "In my bathroom." Why? And she said, "Well, he said he got this glass cleaned up, but he didn't. I got some more of it up in a pile, but there's still more, and I don't want the dogs out here walking around until, we can get it all cleaned up, but I don't have time to do it right now." So obviously it becomes my problem. Which my dogs do go out that way the most because I'm taking them most often to go on their little journeys. Not going to say the other word because I'm going to get them all unnecessarily excited, and we're not probably going to be able to do that today since, the cemetery will probably be pretty soggy and hard to find. I'll probably check it out later, but I'll pull the car in the garage to try to load them up. Since that's the whole thing we got to worry about now. But that's not the end of it. But I'm going to show you this next part. And yes, I would have started the video out there, but there's a bunch of people working, so I'm not just going to talk to my phone out there the whole time. Anyway, I will go out there and show this hot mess. So, hold on. Okay, so this is a hot fucking mess too. And I didn't get all of it cleaned up, but okay, so there's still some broken shit down here. You can kind of see it, not a whole lot. Way less than there was, but of course it's in the dirt too, so fuck that nonsense. This is what I was cleaning up. Of course there's lots of leaves and shit in there. And this is where he was putting it. I don't know if you can even see. There's fucking water in here. Yeah, right there. So yeah, as you could see, his method of doing it was not even dump the water out of the damn trash can, not even use a bag or anything, since it's broken glass, lots of itty bitty tiny little pieces, and he just dumped it in the water in the fucking trash can that was open. So, without a bag. So, of course, we'll be seeing it again because, even if they, flip that in the damn truck next time, which today was trash day, so that's, already a next week thing or better. And since it's in a puddle, it'll probably stick to everything anyway. And then how much of it is just going to fall out in the freaking driveway when they're flipping the can back over and all that bullshit. But he said he got most of it. Nowhere near even half, I don't think. Because he spent like 15 minutes out there and I was working on it for like a half an hour. And still didn't get it all because there's so damn much and there's such little pieces. Oh, and we made the mess even bigger because he didn't knock the broken glass out of the new door before moving the new door into the garage finally. So it's just like everywhere, like even more than it would have been. So I've been out there all sorts of pissed, and of course it just became my problem because I live here right now. Yeah, but I was messaging my brother. I sent him like all the pictures, because he moved the new door into the house or into the garage and left the old door there. There were two pieces of wood that were there for some reason, and like plywood or whatever. And so, of course, there's all sorts of glass shards, like, all up in all of that. And then, of course, there were leaves and stuff, so that's why there was a bunch of that, because there was. And, yeah. For the leaves, since it's still early spring yet. You know, I try to leave those alone because I read something about like insects going into the leaves as a kind of shelter during the colder months and whatnot, while they're, you know, like doing their thing. So yeah, like if there's a big massive clump of leaves, I will leave it until it's been a while and can hope that most of the bugs have made it out rather than just killing them off or whatever. Anyway, I don't know what. I mean, especially in that spot because it's like right up next to the house. So, of course, it would be more shelter, and that like there's a camper over there and a lilac bush. So there is more shelter if there was like. It'd be a good spot for insects to go if they were looking for that kind of spot. But anyway, it has been a pain in the ass to deal with this, right? I was going to do a video when they left to go to the UPS store, and then it's like, well, then I got called in to clean up the glass because now it's my problem. They called when they were on the way back, and the truck that's currently right in front of our house has a trailer attached to it, big one, and it was going across the driveway. So it's like, honestly, I felt bad asking them to move, but then had to because, you know, they were coming back with food and had to get that brought in the house, and then they were leaving. So I thought about saying once they're gone, you can just pull back and it's not going to be a problem. But yeah, because I'll probably just hang out here. The nice thing is, since I'm up earlier, I will be way more productive than I usually am. So there's that. And already been more productive than I guess I would have liked to have been had we not had fucking broken glass everywhere. Yeah. You know, and one of the things while my dad was cleaning up, she started in on, well, Gracie doesn't want to move, and I don't think your brother, I know your brother didn't want to move, and I was just like, I'm pretty confident there is more to that story than you think there is, you know, because of course, I have mentioned that many times about one of the biggest reasons they're leaving is because I started setting boundaries and giving myself some space between the family drama and realizing how much bullshit there actually is that's going on, and we just were getting sucked into it because we didn't know any better, and because we were just doing what we were raised to do, which was allow everybody else to continue in their toxic misery. But I said there's a lot more to that story than you know, but I mentioned it to my brother because obviously his wife's getting the blame again on that end, and he said he's trying to set and enforce some boundaries, but also, I mean, not that he's okay with Jen taking any of the blame for it at this point, but Jen is at the point where nothing she does one way or another will get her any more liked by the family, just because they're miserable people who like to stay in their misery and assume the worst about outsiders and all that shit. So she just kind of accepted that it is what it is right now, and that they all get along better when they're away from the family, right? And, you know, my brother said that he was like, it was my idea to move. And it's like, yeah. It's like, and I don't doubt that at all. And, you know, I've talked on here many times. As soon as I get out of here, I'm not coming back, y'all. This is bullshit. I'm so fucking over it. Because, okay, so my mom calls to say that they are on the way back and they have groceries, so I need to help them bring stuff in real quick because they have to leave right away because they got to get my grandma to her appointment. So, I mean, the other thing they could have done was have my grandma sit in the car with my dad after they go to her appointment and go to the store. That would have been fine. And then, hey, if grandma needed anything, then that would be a fine time for my mom to pick it up for her, too. But yeah, whatever. I digress. So, I said, well, I guess I need to ask these guys to move their truck. Because it was like the trailer hitch and the first part of the trailer was like all the way in the across the front of the driveway. And yeah, so talking to him on the phone, I said, he didn't even clean it. I said, he didn't even clean half of this up. And she's like, I know. And I said, and you didn't do much either. And she's like, well, I didn't have time, you know, because she had like, it wasn't much. It was a small little pile. And then you get moving doors and moving wood and shit. And it's like, oh, look, it just goes on and on. So the gift that keeps on fucking giving. So, you know, I was spouting off about that. I was like, oh, and we just tracked it into the house because we didn't even bother knocking the broken glass out of the frame before we shoved it in the garage too. So now it's really everywhere. And he starts in with, oh, I'll get it when I get back. It's like, bullshit. Like you'll get the damn door put on the damn house to begin with, right? All this fun stuff. Now we gotta get this new freaking piece of glass for the door that's not even paid off because he hurts too much to be able to put the door on because it involved a little more work because he was going to have to put a fucking hole for a handle on it. And yeah. So I think I hung up on him at one point. I was just like, yeah, because yeah, just whatever. It's like I was so pissed, and I yelled and hung up the phone, and then I guess they fought in the car on the way back too, or in the truck. And here's the other thing, right? So I have to pause from cleaning up the glass to help them bring in the groceries because they're in a hurry. And my dad's in the house putting stuff in the fridge, right? Which is, he never, ever does. And I went in because I had put some stuff in the freezer and there was like a box of Totino's pizzas. It had like 4 pizzas in it. So I took those out of the box so I could fit stuff in the freezer better. And so I brought the box in and was tearing it up and putting it in the trash in the house, mainly because I was going to I wanted to show that nonsense on the video. But as I'm in there, he said, is Mom in the car? I said, not yet. I said she was putting some stuff in the fridge. Well, she comes back in and he's putting things in the house fridge. And she says, what are you doing? And he said, I'm putting stuff up. I'm trying to be good for once. And, or some kind of bullshit on that end. The pity me kind of end. Trying to be good for once and do something right. And my mom's like, we don't have time. Sarah will get it. It's like, first off, they're the damn grapes that she's like, that's like all she consumes most of the time. We go through, I'm not even going to bother guessing. Probably well over 10 pounds of grapes, I guess. I guess I did guess. But yeah. But yeah, just leave it alone. Sarah will get that too. Be like, Sarah's cleaned up all your bullshit messes today. It's like, y'all, get the fuck out of here so I can finish what I'm gonna do and go do what I want to do, and then worry about my own shit. And I was talking to my brother, and he said that moving was his idea. I was like, dude, I said, I ain't gonna fault you for it. It's like, I know it's necessary. And I said, as soon as I find my way out of here, I'm at the point where I'm about ready to be done, write it all off. And, like I've said before, I think the universe is kind of keeping me around beyond when my brother goes, because then it'll be even more just on me to have to deal with their bullshit, because, my brother will be out of here. And then, as that continues, I don't know what he's yelling about in there, but good grief. Buddha! They have food and water. I gave them fresh water first thing this morning. So I think he's just mouthy because nobody's in there with him. He might be watching what's going on outside and not knowing any of what's going on outside, so just bitching about it anyway. He's a bird, but whatever. But yeah, I think part of me staying here, even after they leave, is to really lock this in and solidify it that when I'm done, I'm done. Because this is some bullshit that I'm really tired of. And so help me, if they try to have somebody come in to talk puppies before I get out of here, that's not going to go well. Because I do not want to take on the responsibility of another dog when I have 3. And Peppy comes along with me a lot when I take mine for a walk these days, because if they're at my grandma's house, which they're always over at my grandma's house, or taking my grandma somewhere, because now that grandpa's dead, grandma is the one that all the attention is on, right? Oh, and yesterday's drama, when they went to my cousin's house to see the baby, and of course my grandma went with them, and apparently when they were getting back into the truck at the restaurant, grandma almost fell out of the truck. The truck's been an issue, but I think she just also almost fell going to the truck out of the restaurant. And she didn't go all the way down, but it took her a minute to get back, or to get where she could get up and get moving again. And I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I'm tired of fucking worrying about all of this family's bullshit all the time. And, like, a big part of why my grandma's having the issues she is because my freaking toxic grandfather that finally kicked the bucket was all about having his stupid bullshit enabled for well over 33 years. 33 years is that's just when they moved back and I started really getting affected by it. But, I'm 41, so obviously it was an issue before they moved away. I just didn't have to deal with it until it moved back, and then, they lived across the freaking yard, and, my grandma being the first of the enablers on my grandpa's toxicity, I don't feel sorry for her at all. And now she's wanting the attention that he was getting, because he was getting enabled. That was his supply, his energetic vampireness. See, okay, that's another thing, because I've mentioned this on here before too. For a while, before he shattered his femur and ended up having to have surgery and then not being able to stay at home again, other than, like, I think after he shattered his femur, he came home at one point and he was home for 2.5 days, I think, and had to go back because I don't remember. The home health nurse came in for like the first time to check on him and immediately knew there was a problem because nobody else knows there's a problem. Like, it was like some kind of infection or something. And yeah, I don't know. But he was home 2.5 days and had to go back. And then the next time he came back home, it was literally just to die. So yeah. But before he broke himself, it was like they were having a fucking contest on who could get more pity from the family, who brought more people in if they had some kind of health issue. So it was like going back and forth, and oh, grandma fell in the garage this time because she was taking the laundry out. But then, he went down the next time and shattered his femur. And they're like 2 days later. Oh, before she fell in the garage, like 2 weeks before, I think, he had fallen and hit his head on the curb at a little restaurant that he and his buddy went to for breakfast one day. Buddy couldn't get him up, and had to go get some help from the staff inside the building. And so I don't know if it was before, it was probably before he went in, also managed to fall and hit his head. The buddy did in the process. So it's like this whole fucking ordeal. But as I started setting boundaries and disconnecting my energy from it, it's like I could literally just see what was going to happen. It's like, okay, she fell this time, he's going to fall the next time, then she's going to... It was just literally back and forth, and everything is just this big, hectic mess, and I don't know. Yeah, they're old and falling's a thing. I get it. But here's the thing. When literally decades have been wasted to catering to the bullshit, at some point when you realize what is going on, you do stop caring. And it's just because... Okay. My brother and I have had all sorts of anxiety and issues that we've had to work through ourselves, right? And we've both had our own kinds of therapy. Like, he actually ended up in a group therapy program for a while, and I've been doing this because the universe told me to move this way, so here we are. It's basically, I started feeling like I was supposed to do this, wasn't sure what I was doing for this, but then as I started doing it, then it started becoming clear, just like the girl in the dream said. So, what I think the whole purpose of my stuff is, I've done my own sort of talk therapy through this medium, but as I've let stuff go for my own journey and my own mental health, after I've cried through how many videos, I have no idea. But yeah, like I feel like that's for the people who also have stuff to go through, like me, and the processing, because it has been my talk therapy, right? So yeah, sometimes I probably sound bitchy. Sometimes I sound like a crybaby. But at the same time, you know what? Fuck all that nonsense. Even the ideas of, like, just being bitchy or whatever. It's like the fears that I had around those things were because of this damn family. And being told throughout my life, like anytime I got emotional about anything, that I was just too sensitive or, hypersensitive, oversensitive, whatever, all that bullshit that I've heard a ridiculous amount of times, until it became my own inner voice telling me that, because that's what I'd experienced from my family so much, right? So, I know, okay, like when I started out and it's a fucking hot mess, even worse than it is now. I know that like a big part of that is, my whole journey has basically. That's enough. Hey, hey. Somebody shut a door. It's okay. It's like it's not okay to shut the door. Shut the door, Daddy. Y'all, this dude. She gets mad when he gets fussy, and he was fussy, and now he's chill. That dude has made me pick him up and put him on the bed. I cannot tell you how many times, but he is proving he has absolutely no problem doing that anymore. Right, Tazzy? So, okay, that's enough. We don't got to talk about it. Yeah. So that's like 3 times. Now he's licking his hip. So that was kind of the problem. Was he wounded himself and wasn't supposed to be jumping on anything because he tried to Evel Knievel in the house. There was a recliner that was facing the window, and he was sitting, or he was laying on it until he decided to try to jump behind it to get on the love seat when it was over in that spot, and missed. And he got his knee x-rayed, and they said he tore his cruciate ligament, I think. So he was not allowed to jump on anything for a long time. But he has proven that he can now. I mean, that was like, that injury is like old news. That's like well over a year ago, I think. And yeah. He's just been milking it, getting lifted up, having me play elevator. He don't care. It's easier. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, we shifted. Look at that, how cute that is. If you can kind of, I don't know if you can see it. There it is. Like the leg over. Yeah, she had a rough night. She doesn't like storms at all. So 80-mile-an-hour winds and tornado sirens were not her favorite thing. But we survived. We're just tired. Buddha. He's like, what? I noticed when I was watching the video in there the other day, I had headphones on when I was watching the video, so I can see what I'm going to name it or whatever. And he heard himself chirping and started doing that same screech the whole time. It's like, dude, we really don't have to do this. It would be okay if you stopped. Yeah. Oh, I'm so tired of family drama. But yeah. I was thinking, I had to stop for a potty break. And well, Taz was barking anyway, so it's like, hey, since I'm already having this on pause, I'll just, make a potty run too. So when I was in there, I was thinking that, bird. What was I thinking? Oh, about, I've talked about how when I was young, I felt like it's like I've had a hard time kind of really wrapping my head around what the experience was, but I've explained it at some point as like, it was like I picked up on what my grandfather's demons were saying to my mom's demons. It was basically that the reason I was the problem was because I was going to expose their bullshit or whatever. I mean, that I'm highly doubtful that that was exactly what was said, but that was the energy behind it. Was I was a problem. I needed to be stopped because I was going to expose their whole situation. And thinking about this whole channel, and that's basically ended up being a big part of it, but I am confident that I'm not the only one that's had this kind of bullshit to go through. And that's why it was so essential for me to start doing the thing, which was my talk therapy on the YouTube channel, to clear it out of my system, but also do it in a space that will be able to be witnessed by others, so other people who have been affected by toxic family systems can also see, how I've made it through, see my story and my journey through this hot mess, and maybe learn how to shift some things for themselves, right? So, yeah, I was just thinking about how it goes to that point of, okay, go where there is no path and forge away kind of a thing. That and being a light in the darkness, because I am confident with the way the world is functioning at present day that I'm not the only one that's having to deal with this bullshit, because the only reason it exists on the larger scale, like countrywide, worldwide, whatever, is because it starts first in the family. So the toxic family systems and people not being able to see a better way, let alone figure out how to make a better way, because we're stuck in the system because we haven't known how to navigate it, how to get out of it. Like me trying to learn how to dream on here, that's kind of a big thing too, because when I started out, I didn't want to, not even necessarily that I didn't want to, I was afraid to have any kind of dream for myself because my family literally thrives on destroying things like that. Oh, there's something you're looking forward to? How can I piss on it? Oh, you won the contest for this picture with the bear? Let us ruin it for you so you spend the rest of the day crying because we're assholes. That kind of shit. It's like literally just how can I hijack this good moment for you and bring you back into your place in this misery with us. And I think that was something I was talking to my brother about this morning too, was he, he was talking about Gracie will probably struggle with it and she doesn't want to move right now. It's like, she doesn't want to move right now because she's never known any other way. And I said, we didn't know any other way until I started setting boundaries and realizing how fucked up this thing has been, and I started sharing it with him, and then he started looking at it, and he really started making that connection too. So it's like, yeah, it's like your move is entirely necessary for your family to have better for themselves, right? And yeah, Gracie isn't looking forward to it right now because she's 8, and of course, it's scary when you're a little kid and you don't know what's going to happen next, but she'll be all right. It's like, whatever happens, she will be fine. Especially if her dad is in a better mental health state because he's not around the toxic family like he has been. And he said every single time he gets out of the city, then it starts to be a weight lifted off. So it's like, that in and of itself, and the fact that they can go on these little family trips and she can experience her dad differently because he's not so stressed and anxious about everything all the time. It's like, she'll figure it out. She might not figure it out exactly what the problem was for a long time, but at some point she will figure it out. And Ouch. Sorry. She was looking outside, so I did too. But yeah. You know, and just just so ready to be over with. Or over all of this crap. I was watching something on Instagram where somebody was talking about the whole experience of having the chaos in your system kind of a thing. It's like fucking chaos walls over there, right? Obviously, I still have not cleaned it up yet, but that's on today's agenda, right? So, yeah, but my chaos walls, I heard the guy talking about, you know, when you have all this, like, when the chaos is in your system kind of a thing. It's like, yeah, it's like all the family drama is absolutely why there was all this chaos in my system. And it took putting it on the walls, painting it out of my system before I really was able to figure out. That's why I haven't been able to do anything in my life, is because I've had all this chaos, you know, energetic and emotional chaos that I just got drug into because my family likes to exist in their toxicity and doesn't want any part of, you know, changing. Oh, that was the conversation with my brother. I said when she gets to experience things differently, you know, when he's not in the middle of this kind of chaos too, I said basically, our family has thrived on the fact that we want to fix things. You know, we see there's a problem. How can I help? But we grew up in a family where they don't want help. They want everybody in their misery. So if you have if you're able to dream for yourself, oh, let us piss all over that because, you know, we thrive on bringing you down to our level. And it's like, fuck that noise. Yeah. Kind of just want to add in a shout out to the Dr. Romney videos just so I can tag her, and because I think that's honestly that'll be part of where the audience comes from too. Is just the fact that, okay, like if I comment somewhere else and it's something somebody else finds some kind of relevance in, then they'll probably check me out and want to figure out what's going on with me on that end, right? So that's kind of the little audience building thing. But yeah, I haven't watched any videos today. Kind of did last night, but I checked out in the middle of it because there's too much going on with the storm. I could kind of go for a nap, but I'm not going to because I'm awake and it's 20 till 12 and I can watch a freaking movie and do some cleaning in here today and have no reason not to. No excuses. Yeah. Oh, the puppy thing. Did I finish that? They kept looking at puppies there for a while because, of course, my dad's dog died on January 1st. And it has been driving them nuts. Mainly my dad, because his baby's not around anymore. Which, obviously, it's upsetting when the dog that was primarily yours, when something happens to it, right? And her situation was not pretty. But okay. I don't remember if it might have been the day after she died. I woke up in the early morning, went to the bathroom, and as I was walking back to my bedroom, when my bedroom was in the other room, Um, I almost kicked it, but I'm glad I didn't, because that probably wouldn't be ideal. Um, I saw this little fluffy thing, and it startled me. And it was like this little puppy that had like its head was mostly white. It wasn't actually there. We didn't have the puppy, right? But I saw it. I think it was the next day, because that was the day that my parents started looking at puppies online. It's like, and yeah. So I saw this little thing with this little puppy with a white head, and startled me because it was like, I'm pretty sure there's nothing there. But yet I saw it clear as day. And I mentioned that in the group, and Annie said she was probably revealing her next form or something. It's like, well, maybe. It's like, I don't know what the situation was. I just knew it was like immediately, or like the next day after she died, I think like 6:30, 7 o'clock on New Year's Day. And this was like 4 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd. And then later that day, my mom had puppies pulled up online. It's like, but then, of course, I think my dad said some shit about breeding. It's like, no, you're 71, you're not fucking getting into breeding dogs at this point in time. No way in hell. But also, my mom was like, if we're gonna get one, I'd rather just go through the rescue. And I was thinking, y'all better not try to have any rescue come out at this point in time, because this house is a disaster, and yes, a lot of it is mine, but I'm purging. It's part of the process. I will get some more of that handled today. I'll probably go ahead and put the movies and the books that I have to take to Half Price Books. I'll probably go ahead and load those in the car so they're out of the inside space. Maybe harass Ben about the TV and the video games. He did mention them again the other day, so he hasn't forgotten, but he's also working. Whereas when we started talking again, he was out for some injury or something and was going through like physical therapy and not able to work at that point in time. So he's gone back to work now. So it's not near as convenient. He said he was asking me a question yesterday, and we got into this conversation, and I was like having these big long spiels of things, and he said something had come up in his therapy session the night before, and he said something, and then he was like, well, he asked me something about how I received it, I guess. Is the way to that's the way I'll explain it this time, right? He was wanting to know if it came across as misogynistic, because he was not trying to do that, but he could see at the same time how it might come across that. It was concerned about me going to class last night when the storms were coming in, right? And we talked a little bit more. It's all right. It's all right. She heard him talking. Yeah, we talked a little bit more about it, and I think I cleared it up for him. But then he was like, we really need to do this podcast. It's like, dude. It's like, okay. Or at least meet up and do a thing for YouTube until we figure out the podcast thing, because I don't have a whole lot of momentum to figure out how to podcast at this point in time, when I still have like all this purging I'm still in the process of doing. And yeah, but I'm all about trying to, we could start a channel. That's cool. Like this, but a collaboration, and it would be way more productive, because it's not just me talking generally to my phone. It'd be actually having a conversation with somebody else. So yeah. But we keep mentioning it. It's like we really just got to set a time and figure it out and make it happen, because otherwise, there's endless excuses. And a collaboration and a conversation would be easier, I think. Because I have no problem just sitting here and rambling. But at the same time, I do wander off topic periodically and lose my conversational way when I'm talking to myself. And I forget that I said something and then just kind of wander off from that point completely. And yeah, for all those times I do that. It's all right. It's all right. I heard it too. That time it was the door. She don't care being a pillow today. She's like, wanna bet? Wanna bet? She might. Trying to see if there's anything else I want to add to today's chaos, or if I just want to wrap it up, because there is a lot I can do. And a lot I need to do. But I like the start point of throwing the box of stuff that I know is definitely getting out of here in the car, so it's not in here. And to be honest, I don't know that it'd even be worth it taking it to half-price books. Maybe just dump it at Goodwill. But you never know. I have the set of like Army Wives movies, like the seasons. I got all the seasons of them. I think the last 2 or 3 are still in the shrink wrap because I was watching it when it was airing on Lifetime. So I just watched it rather than opening up those. But I had to watch the earlier seasons when I got them. So I've thought about just like listing them on Facebook and seeing if anybody wants them for like $10 or something. And then I've also debated on keeping them because I kind of liked that show for a while, but it's like I'm also not in the military anymore. So when I started it, there was a little bit of a connection on that end. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch an episode and see how I feel about it. That's kind of the general idea that I've had, was maybe I should watch another episode and see if it's something I want to rewatch or if I just want to get it out of my space. Because I do have all of them. There are like 7 seasons, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. Yep, I think I'm going to wrap this up so I can go be productive. Because there's lots of stuff looking at me that just saying, hey, this is something you can do. This is something you can do. Maybe I'll reach my shelf by the end of the day and be able to clean it off. And because that's my hold up on that one is there's this. The keyboard stand could be under the bed. I tried to put it under there when I put the keyboard under there, but it, for whatever reason, wouldn't go. And it's like, damn it, should have put it under there before the keyboard. That's probably part of the problem. But I did not have it where I thought about that beforehand. So it didn't make it yet. If that doesn't work, it might just go next to this mattress she's laying on down at the bottom. Because it's not going to take up a whole lot of room. But I don't know. I'll figure it out and tell you later. How about that? So yeah, as always, I appreciate you. Until the next time. See ya.